Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast. This podcast is all about farmers markets, how to increase your market business success while providing people with fresh food. Farmers markets are essential. Whether you're a farmers market manager or a small farmer or food maker selling at farmers markets, you have found just the right podcast. This week, we're talking with our pal Maya Madsen of Maya's Cookies in San Diego. She's a Vendor 101 graduate and longtime market vendor, and she's presented at the Intense Conference and shared her stories a few times on Tent Talk. She's pretty much our unofficial fourth podcast host, and we're happy to have her back. I'm one of your hosts, Bridget Myers. I'm a longtime farmers market manager, Vendor 101 co-teacher, and education coordinator at Farmers Market Pros.
And I'm Kat Fields-White, Director of San Diego Markets, still an active Farmers Market Manager and consultant, founder of Farmers Market Pros, and host of Intense, the Farmers Market Conference, and the Farmers Market Pros community.
And I'm Justine Marzoni-Mead, Tent Talk producer, marketing director for Farmers Market Pros, and logistics coordinator for Intense, the Farmers Market Conference 2022, coming right up March 7th through 9th.
In San Diego.
In
Live
San Diego.
in San Diego, not just online this year.
The countdown is on.
It's on.
We're ready.
We're ready.
I'm excited.
Also online, of course.
Yeah,
Yes.
both.
That was the thing about virtual conferences. It then morphed into double the work, but double the access.
There's no going back.
That's right. No going back. So
Here we
some
go.
people will be joining us remote, but we'll have a lot of our friends and followers back in San Diego at Marina Village. Today's episode of Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast, is supported by Loco Canopies, creating beautifully branded custom canopies, freestanding feather flags, and table covers to make vendors and information booths stand out at the farmers markets. From starter tents to fully logoed setups, Loco Canopies will make you look good. For more information on how to increase your visibility at your markets, click the Loco Canopies logo on the resource page at farmersmarketpros.com.
Well, welcome back to Tent Talk, everyone. Today we are joined by our friend Maya Madsen, founder and owner of Maya's Cookies, for an update on how she manages her weekly farmers market business, retail shop, and online sales, along with vegan pop-ups, specialty markets, and holiday events. This time of year, perhaps the busiest woman on earth. Welcome, Maya.
Yeah, that just makes me tired.
I'm listing off all those things like, and this, and this.
Yeah, when you put it that way, I'm getting tired. I just yawned when you said that. That's how hard I was working, but I'm so happy to be here. I feel like the band is back together again.
That's
Yeah.
That's right. We're all back
favorite.
together.
Thank
We're
you.
missing our drummer.
That's right. So, Maya, what is going on? You just celebrated 1 year of your shop. Is that right?
Yep, we just celebrated 1 year of our storefront, and we just celebrated on Monday, 6 years since our business launched after attending the Intense Conference, and we launched
Oh,
2 days later.
Oh,
That's crazy. So you came to the first one.
yeah.
yeah.
So
Wow.
I was, I took the Vendor 101 course. I got all the tools I needed to get the permits and launch and started my business 2 days later. So thank you, girls. I appreciate
Oh,
it.
awesome. Oh, the Vendor 101, not the
Oh, so you
conference.
took Vendor 101.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
that
I
makes
was like,
sense.
What?
Doing
Oh, did I
that.
say Intense Conference?
yes,
Yeah.
but that's
See?
okay.
It's because I'm tired. Because
I was like, oh no, are we putting the wrong annual year? Yes, but I remember that you came and you were very prepared at Vendor 101 because you even brought samples, which I was very grateful for.
Oh, that's right.
Which
'Cause
we don't
who
usually
doesn't want a cookie sample. We don't usually encourage samples at markets or classes, but we were pretty darn grateful for yours.
For sure. And you're very organized, of course. And yeah, I just got launched right away. So that's so exciting. 6 years ago.
Yay.
Wow.
And that's so crazy that it's only been a year since you opened your brick and mortar. I feel like it's been there forever to me now.
Right.
I know it's crazy. Time goes by fast when you're having fun, I guess.
We're
Yeah.
in a pandemic.
Yeah.
Either one.
So everything is going well there. You're getting a lot of traffic at the
Everything
shop?
is going well. Yes, we have a full year of history now on traffic patterns because, you know, this girl loves data. So I've been able to track trends in sales for a full year now at our storefront. And I might want to mention to our listeners that my storefront is so far off the beaten path. It's not in a retail stop. You have to go over the forest, through the woods, dodge a few zombies and whatnot to get there. So it's not easy to get to. And we're only open 25 hours a week. And it's doing phenomenal. so much so that we're looking to expand because we want the masses to be able to enjoy cookies. Cookies make people happy. We're here to spread joy to the masses.
Well, that first location wasn't chosen specifically because it was hard to find, right? It was
Correct.
chosen because it's right next to your production facility.
Correct. So our current facility used to be the lobby of our production facility. And our production facility supported our online sales, farmers markets, and festivals and events. So we put some lipstick on it, turned it into a store. And as I mentioned for longtime listeners, if you listened to the last time I was on, I said our storefront is the exact size 10 by 10 of a farmer's market booth. So I feel like I was groomed for a small space. So it worked out perfectly. And you don't need a big space to be able to operate. People love coming there because it's so tiny, and I made it cute and it's far off the beaten path. So it's literally a hole in the wall, but you're going to get the freshest, most delicious artisanal cookies coming out of that little hole in the wall.
And it's kind of genius because the way that it's set up, it forces there to be a really long line out the door. And it always reminds me of that like one OG taco spot down in Barrio Logan that always has a line out the door, and you drive by and everyone like looks like, wow, that must be
Milpas.
yeah, that must be the place that we have to go to, you know. And so I feel like if anybody just happened to be driving by and they saw that line, they would be like, wow, whatever that is, I need to go
We need
inside.
some.
Yeah.
Jump in the line.
I'm going to agree with you on that, Justine, because at our 1-year store anniversary last Saturday, we had a line that was so long that people going to the post office that day got in line. I was out greeting and chatting up people in line, and someone said, what's this line for?
They just naturally stand in it, not even knowing.
Oh, gotta love people.
So,
yeah.
People are
I
sheep.
think
It's
the
great.
power of a line. I have heard of other businesses that pay actors to stand in line to do that.
Ooh.
I mean, that's pretty smart.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
luckily, you don't have to pay
Yeah, you
anybody
don't
to
even have to
come.
do
They
that.
pay you.
Yeah. Yeah, people have said, I've seen it posted in our like food groups here in San Diego, like, I was just going to the post office and I found this amazing cookie shop. So, you know,
You've
people
seen
find
that?
you. Yeah, and eating and drinking. People will post about you all the time
Wow.
in there. Yeah, and they say, I just came across this shop. Have you ever heard of that? And then, of course, people are like, yeah, they're at the farmer's market for years now. We know who that is. But it's nice that they can come on your off-market days and pick up your cookie goodness.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you're opening a new location soon. Is that true?
That rumor has it. We haven't officially.
Sorry, I spread that. That was my fault.
Oh my gosh, Justine is the rumor mill over here.
So we are expanding. Yes, that is correct. And it's due to demand. I like to grow my business organically because I operate lean. I don't have a big, huge budget of extra capital behind my growth. So I have to do it organically, which means I have to give the people what they want when they want it. And yeah, so short answer, yes, we are expanding in 2022.
All right.
Details coming soon.
Details to come.
follow.
Well, you don't-
Just one detail though.
Yes.
Are you picking another facility that's way off the beaten track, or are you choosing more of a retail location? Do you think?
I'm choosing retail locations now. That's
Cool.
what I'm looking for with my expansion. We have people that come to our little off the beaten path shop from out of town every weekend. So we definitely have protocol. We make it an experience. That little tiny shop turns into a little party. And our staff, when someone says, I'm here from Arizona, I drove all the way up from Simi Valley, we make sure that it's worth their drive. We know the product is going to be worth their drive, but we want them to have an experience. And I learned that from you, Kat, to always keep your display bountiful and full.
Thank you. You
Because
did
if
learn
some-
that from me. Do not run
did.
out of product.
No, if someone's going to make a 3-hour drive through LA traffic to come visit us, I want to make sure when they get there that their eyes and their ears and their mouth is watering and it's an experience. So I definitely remember you teaching me that and saying that over and over again. And you would say that in the form of, are you almost out of cookies? We still have 3 hours to go. And that
Tough love.
Yeah.
yeah,
Tough
tough love. I responded well to that. Thank you.
I
You're
did say
welcome.
I just saw you when we were at Art Walk when we moved the market over for Art Walk at the Mercado, and it was either you or your husband was back in the middle of the day being like, we had to restock. We're bringing more cookies so that we can restock because the market's not over yet. And that was a long day. So I was like, oh, good. Someone listened.
That's great.
Awesome.
Yep.
So what farmers markets are you doing currently right now?
Currently, I'm doing Little Italy on Saturdays, and we are doing the Hillcrest Farmers Market on Sundays. So
those are your only regular markets that you're doing?
Those are my only regular markets. We are dabbling in festivals again now that our state has somewhat reopened. We are cautious with the festivals. We want to make sure they're checking that everyone else is following protocol as well. So I want to keep my staff safe and my customers. But we are dabbling in the festivals up in LA, none out of state. And the last festival we did a few weeks ago, we ran out of product pretty early. So our staff, we developed a plan and we brought more product up from San Diego. But we had to put up a sign saying product will return at 5 p.m. And people started getting in line an hour beforehand. So my staff was panicked because they said these people have been waiting in line for an hour. We had to critical think, as you always say, Maya, because that's what I tell them, critical thinkers and problem solvers. That's what you are. You're going to work at Maya's Cookies. So they came up with a plan where they had to limit the quantities.
Oh,
I know, because people had been in line for an hour. So they wanted to make sure that everyone was able to experience. And we also gave a coupon code for online if any of those same people waiting in line wanted to try other flavors. And we try to do things like that to make sure everyone gets something, but that was a rough learning experience.
Smart move on your staff's part, though, so that you didn't have some guy jump into the front of the line and become a cookie scalper. Could have like bought you out and
I'll
then
buy the whole lot.
double the price. Over there with cookies stuffed in his pockets, offered him to the highest bidder.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
I like to say cookies make people happy. And the last thing I want is for someone to be angry, upset, or anxious over cookies. So they try to keep that in mind, and they had to make some decisions. So, but we learned from it. So now we know.
There you go. It's like Black Friday.
Actually one of the big things we wanted to talk to you about is the all vegan markets, the kind of pop-up markets that you're doing in addition to farmers markets, since they're similar, but not exactly the same. The all vegan markets were kind of becoming a big thing prior to COVID. And then of course events shut down and farmers markets were open because they were essential, but vegan pop-ups were not, but we're seeing them coming back pretty strong. What's your view on those kind of events?
I love those events because it really does give the vegan business owners an opportunity to expand their growth and expand their audience. It also is an atmosphere. Usually the vegan farmers markets that I've attended have always had a great atmosphere. It reminds me of a carnival almost. So it's less about shopping for your weekly groceries, and it's more about just eating all the things, listening to all the music, dancing. So for that reason, I love them because everyone's in a great mood. And it reminds me of a state fair where you go and eat all the things. So it's all about your senses, just in having a great time, filling up on lots of delicious food, overeating, trying new experiences, trying new things. And everyone's generally there to spend the day rather than shop and go back home.
Interesting. Okay, so that's a good insight. So something like your product or a prepared food product that you're obviously going to eat on site, it sounds like that'd be great for them. Do you have any insight from talking to your fellow vendors on how things like sauces or dips or some kind of grocery product, do those do well there?
It seems that everyone does well at these festivals, which is why it's so difficult to get in one. You really have to stand out. You have to stand out with your product. You have to stand out with your marketing, meaning your branding. And shout out to Loco Canopies, our sponsor for this podcast, because all of my branding materials have come from Loco Canopies, and Heath at Loco is phenomenal. I love working with him, and he's really helped us make our booth look amazing. So just a little side note on that. But
that pink booth, you can see it from a long ways away.
You can see it from
and the pink tablecloth and the pink pull up and the pink this and that. So everyone seems to do well with the vegan markets. The vegan vendors are all very close as well, meaning that we reach out to each other if a new market's popping up and say, have you had an experience? So it's I know most farmers markets are tight knit, but these vegan markets, they're just a little different, where we really try to communicate more with each other and become more, I don't want to say more family, because I feel like my farmers market family is super strong, but these festival families are different, but we do try to communicate so that we can help each other make good decisions on if we should participate, how much product to bring. If I'm starting a new market, I'll reach out to one of those vendors and say, what's your experience? I'm not sure how much to bring. What's the flow? So we communicate very well. It's very familial, and everyone's there to eat and try everything. They know there's going to be lines. So there's not, it doesn't seem to bother people. As I mentioned, people got in my line for an hour waiting for us to bring back fresh cookies. So there's always long lines. There's a lot of social media, not marketing, but sharing going on. And so for that reason, you have to bring it. A plain old chocolate chip cookie's okay, but you need to bring your A game, because everyone else is bringing their A game. So it's a great place to test concepts, try new things, just over the top things. An example would be just an over the top cookie. If you want to create something that's delicious and beautiful and out there and just a little bit extra, that's the perfect place to launch a product like that, because people go crazy for it.
Well, it seems like they used to be mostly annual events or maybe quarterly, but I'm seeing some vegan pop-ups now that are going to, I haven't seen a weekly one yet, but I've seen a bi-weekly one. So part of the excitement and the big crowds and the lines and things is whenever you have an annual event or an event that only happens every 3 months, it's like the whole thing about the farmers market, which is it's there right now. And if you miss it, you miss it. But, times 3 or times 12, because it's there even more infrequently. So people feel a sense of urgency to go and buy their things. Do you see that vegan specialty market being something that would translate into a weekly market and still work as well?
Kat, I don't know the answer to that, because they are relatively new. And as you mentioned, bi-weekly is what I have seen as well. And that's still relatively new.
Right.
A lot of it depends on the organizer, because you have to remember, with these vegan markets and festivals, you're getting a lot of out of town vendors, a lot of out of town. So that means they may not have the proper permits needed and the protocols for the county that they're vending in. So it really takes a strong manager to pull that off and make sure everything runs smoothly. The ones that I have seen that have been bi-weekly that I've participated in, one is, can I name one?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So for instance, the Long Beach Pike market, that's one that was bi-weekly. We participated in, and it was amazing. It was full every single time, all the things, all the lines, all the vendors, but the market managers were extremely organized. They made sure that all of the out of town vendors and everyone knew what was expected of them and what permits they needed, because we would have to get a new permit each month, basically. So to answer your question, if I think they could be successful if the market management team is strong and can handle that.
Excellent. Yeah, good to know. I'm just curious about that. We're also seeing the growth of a lot of events like the Soulfood swap meet here in town, which I think is going really big on the waterfront for one day in December.
Which one is that?
I think it's the Soulfood swap meet, I want to call it.
Oh, the Soul
swap meet. Maybe it's not Soul Food, but they do have a lot of food. They
meet.
also do have other kinds of businesses and things there, and they're kind of centered on BIPOC-owned businesses.
Yep.
Are you participating in any of those kind of specialized markets?
I'm not participating in any of those at this time, because we're at our max.
Sure.
So when the Soul Swap Meet came around, we were already maxed out and I was unable to participate. But the Soul Swap Meet is amazing, and it's a great place to bring a lot of Black-owned businesses together. And I am a Black-owned business, for any listeners that aren't sure. And so for that reason, it's a fun place to gather and see the wares and the products and the things that maybe you can't get at the grocery store.
Yeah, and we're seeing more Black-owned businesses in the farmers market now, at least in our farmers market. And I think that's partly because they're sort of getting their feet wet at those kind of events. So they're getting the sense of what it takes. And then a lot of times they come to us and we have to sort of walk them through permits and things because some of those events have been a little bit more casual.
Exactly.
But we're seeing a lot of people sort of grow into ours from theirs. And we're encouraging them, of course, to stay in the Soul Swap Meet as well because there's such a strong group of really new businesses there. So it's a great business incubator kind of event.
It is. And just so you know, several of those businesses have reached out to me for tips and advice. So I was happy that they did that because I want them to not make the mistakes that I made early on. And if I can help them avoid some of those costly errors, I'm so happy to do so. So
that's great. You've been such a good vendor. You're such a good mentor to other vendors. I know you're probably crazy busy around the holidays, but I've actually got a vendor that I would love to send over to you to kind of
send them to me. I'm never too busy, Kat.
Cool.
Please send
That's
them
great.
to me.
Yeah. I've got a woman that just has so much potential, but she's been a little flighty at markets and stuff, and I think she needs a little guidance.
Well, speaking of holidays and choosing events and kind of, it's such a busy time of year and there's so many things going on, even with right now, Bridget and I are working on Sono and we're trying to get vendors for that too, but a lot of the vendors are tied up doing other things. So when it comes to holiday events or specialty markets or vegan pop-ups, as a vendor and as an experienced vendor and business owner, what do you look for when trying to vet whether to participate? Like what are kind of like your short list of things that pop-up or event has to have before you sign up for it?
It has to have a strong management team that I know will help us be successful, meaning they'll take care of marketing. They will take care of helping with guidance on permits if additional permits are needed, so there are no costly errors. And I also look at the target market of who the shoppers are going to be. I, every year, have participated in the festival, the market that San Diego Markets put on in December, the Little Italy tree lighting. And I love that market early on and before COVID, I guess. I'm calling it early on.
Yeah, right. Before the world changed.
The early days,
right?
BC.
Pre-COVID, that was,
pre-COVID, yeah.
Yes,
BC.
That market really helped us in December to get started on our holiday. We counted on that revenue, basically, to help us purchase for the rest of our sales for December. So I do look for a strong market management team and the area that it's going to be held in and the target audience, basically.
Really smart. Yeah. And it's so hard when, you get to a certain level. I'm sure everybody's reaching out to you being like, we went buy us cookies at our event. And you kind of have to just practice that no muscle and just say like, really decide what you're going to participate in. Otherwise,
how much bandwidth you have.
So say you're a farmer's market vendor and you've been vending at the market for a while. What advice would you give other farmer's market vendors kind of looking to like dip their toe into these like other, pop-up events, whether it's a vegan event or some other special event that's not a farmer's market? Because, these events are different than farmers markets. And sometimes I think if you're a farmers market vendor, you might have certain expectations of like what it's going to be like or whether that's how it's planned or the team behind it. So what advice would you give to farmers market vendors looking to get into other specialized pop-ups?
I am the hype man for other specialized pop-ups. I always encourage vendors to do that because it's a different audience. You're trying to grow your business. You're not trying to stay static. You want to grow. So I encourage them to research, see if their product is a fit. And I tell them to go for it because you're going to meet other vendors maybe that you haven't met before. And we're all a big family. We all network. You never know where that relationship could lead to. You're going to meet new customers. You're going to meet new market managers. You're going to get your product out there to potentially thousands of people that hadn't heard of you before. So I always I'm always reaching out to all the vendors and saying, hey, there's this thing I think you might be a great fit. You should look into it. So I would say, I'd say just go for it, but definitely research the event to make sure that it aligns with your product, with your brand. For instance, I would never want to go, I'm a vegan business. I have to be careful with what other events I align myself with. I was approached by, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, it just doesn't align with my values, but I was approached by a Del Mar racetrack event. And for me, being a vegan brand, that's not great because we're all about animal rights.
And I don't think that PETA would like that, and they are always giving you shout outs.
Yeah, yeah, totally makes sense. So you're not going to be at the keto carnival. Is that what you're telling me?
Exactly. I'm just saying, for me, my values and my brand values, certain events don't align and I don't want to participate. So make sure they align with your brand, your values, your product, and go for it.
Yeah, just remember like your mission statement, have your boundaries, and make a plan for it, which I'm sure you're already planning for all that stuff.
Yeah, that's really smart too, just because, if you're already spread a little thin in terms of just like staff, or you have too much to do, you're not going to probably have time to research stuff. So like kind of like make sure you don't sign up for too much stuff so you can do your due diligence and really look into things before you sign up, and just don't say yes to everything, because you might end up at something that you're like, wow, this really isn't my crowd, or this isn't going to make the people that really love my product happy that I'm here.
Exactly. And then when you're loading in all those events, how do you triage staff situations when like online orders and events are at your holiday peak? You have a really good team, but if you're doing multiple upon multiple events, there's only so many staffers out there, right? And especially right now,
efforts, not just events, but also,
keeping the farmers market,
really strong online business, and then your retail shops.
Yeah, so people in your kitchen and at your storefront. And so, How do you? I'm sure you are very organized and have some great tips, but how do you manage all that staffing for other vendors who maybe haven't ventured out of their regular farmers market routine, where they have their staff scheduled on certain days, but they want to add some extra events? I'm sure the staffing situation is always in the back of their mind. So how do you handle that?
It is. And early on, pre-COVID, before I was able to build up my staff, I did those events myself because I didn't have the staff, I didn't have the resources, and I wanted to make sure this new audience was going to get the exact experience I wanted them to have with my brand and my cookies. So I don't know if that's called quality control or a control freak, but either way,
just find that perfect spot in the middle.
Okay. So I did it all of myself. And I will say that you have to be mentally and physically strong to be able to do that. If that's not in your character, then you need to pull other resources. And for me, I've always been mentally tough. I didn't realize that's what it was called till I was, in my 40s. But I've always, my motto, put your big girl pants on and get her done. So I've always been mentally tough and physically strong too, since I was a personal trainer. So I had the stamina to do that myself, but it did start to get tiring, I will say. So I would say, to answer your question, you need to make sure you're mentally and physically strong enough to pull that off if you don't have the resources. And then once you do have the resources, meaning staff, you have to delegate. So I have a great staff, and I have a delegation system where we have a team. Their job is to do the out of town festivals, and they're now experts at it because that's their thing. So they know how to do it efficiently, properly. They know how to make critical decisions, problem solving, and they get the branded van. So I did invest in a van, and I branded it with our logo and our cookies, and it looks polished and professional, and they love driving it. People honk at them and wave. It's a big cookie van. People take pictures next to it. So the festival crew gets the van, and the other crew, we only have one van. So if we have a festival and a farmer's market on the same day, we have the festival team taking care of the festival. I have a farmer's market manager, and the farmer's market manager manages the farmer's market. So their job is to make sure everything is up to par. Their job is to be me, and I can't be there. And I have a strong person who handles that job, and they also have to understand your brand because they're representing you. And I think that's a no-brainer. I am very fortunate that the staff that I have, most of them I've known most of their lives. They are my close friends and family that have also become my employees, and they understand my brand. They understand my vision. They see what I'm trying to do, and they believe in me, and they want to grow with it. So they are fully vested. And I am so lucky to have that. So I would say, find those people, give them responsibility if they believe in your brand, and they will help you pull it off. So, Bridget, that's my long answer to your short question.
No, that was good.
That's what we're here for,
I'm
long
curious,
answers.
too, in a busy season like this, where your online's got to be just going crazy in addition to holiday events on top of farmers markets. Do you add on seasonal staff?
We do add on seasonal staff. Last year, I think I overstaffed, and that was a lesson for me. And that was my first year of having that much busyness, so I wasn't sure. So I overstaffed. We have it down, I think, now. We do bring on extra seasonal staff during the busiest 3 weeks of the holiday season. We also, I want to mention, my marketing manager taught me something, and she said, you have to over communicate. So that's our motto at Maya's Cookies. We over communicate. We have weekly staff meetings so everyone knows what's going on in each department. And that's helped us tremendously stay strong and efficient. So I would say, don't keep secrets. I'm very open. So share all the information so your team understands what's going on every week. And that's what we do. That's helped us tremendously, especially during a busy season like this. We have weekly meetings, and then we also have weekly sub meetings, meaning we have the bakery meeting, which is all the staff that produce the product in the kitchen. So we have a weekly meeting in the bakery along with our weekly overall all department staff meeting.
Yeah, I think this is just such a great thing for vendors to kind of focus on. I know it's hard, and I think it's something that busy market vendors, and especially if you have a storefront and doing online sales, it's something you might kind of let go of and not prioritize, is really like targeting and communicating with your staff and your team. But if you do, and you keep everybody on track and you keep everybody informed so they feel confident about their job and they feel good about maybe filling in for someone or doing a special event or doing something that they haven't done before, if you've been training them this whole time and meeting with them and sharing all the information, they'll feel a lot more confident doing that. And then you can feel a lot more confident letting them go do that. Because I'm sure, especially for you, Maya, letting go of that, I want to be standing in the booth. I want to be giving everybody the experience that I want them to have with my product. I mean, you're only one person, so you can't be baking all the cookies and being at all the events. So having that strong staff and really continuing to educate and train them the whole time they're with you is just such an important thing. And your staff is always so fantastic at the markets. We've seen it. And if a vendor has a great product, maybe a great business plan, but doesn't have that great staffing and isn't communicating and training their staffing, that can really be kind of the doom of a vendor business. So keeping that in mind.
What lets you delegate. And I think you were just almost implying there that Maya was a control freak.
I mean, she said it about herself, so.
I mean, her name is on every single cookie bag.
Yeah, I mean, I think she wants the control. I'm just giving her props for controlling everything.
But she's been, I mean, that's what's amazing. You having, I don't know if you call it control freak or just having a really, really clear vision of what you want to create and what you want to communicate. I have to give you props for, over the last few years especially, really learning to do the things that you need to do to give you the confidence to let go and to not have to do everything yourself. You've been really wonderful at training your staff, and they absolutely communicate the same message that you do because you've been really good at that.
And it's shown in your expansion, too. It's like your business has grown so much in the last 6 years. It would have been impossible if you were trying to do it all yourself, even though you're very mentally and physically strong. But there's,
and you got those big girl pants on.
Humanly impossible. And so it's just a testament to your delegation skills that you've come as far as you have in the last couple of years.
That's an underrated skill to have.
Yeah.
Strong delegation.
Oh, yeah. It is underrated and so important.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Are holidays your busiest time of year?
Oh, yeah. Q4, baby. Q4. So I like to use sports analogies, because I have 3 sons and my whole life is spent watching sports and doing sports, whatever. So I like to tell my staff,
sports, right? We say in our family. Yeah.
We have a sports family.
So I like to say that we are a basketball team, and we, the beginning of the year is the start of the season, and we've made it to the state champions in Q4. So now we're at the level, we're playing for the state championship. So everyone has to bring their A game. Everyone has to bring it, and everyone knows that expectation. So, I love Q4, and my staff, we're starting to feel the surge right now. So this week we had an extremely busy week in production, and I checked in with them and I said, "Are you ready for this?" And my response from my warehouse manager was, "I love this." So, they're busy, we're busy. I have to remind everybody that this is the playoffs. We are not freshmen. We're seniors. We're Division I. We are
These analogies can go on.
Varsity.
Yeah.
We are varsity level in the playoffs, made it to the state championships, and that's how we're going to do this. And I wanted
there's
to
NBA scouts in the audience.
Well, I might add that my staff formed a softball team, and we are in first place in our league.
Of course you are.
We had someone come, a firefighter come by last week, and they said, "Maya's Cookies, I think we played you in softball." I go, "You mean we beat you in softball?" I know we're defeated.
Don't rub that in until after they place their order there.
Yeah.
Have you gotten any more famous shout outs? I know last year you got kind of viral bombed when I think it was Kerry Washington.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some big names that love your cookies. Have you had any more name drops lately? Or are we hoping that doesn't happen until after December?
No, we have nothing as big as that, but we have a nice little roster of celebrity clientele, which I will not name. But it's nice to have that. And every now and then one of them will shout us out. And I want to mention that's why we focus on quality of product. We never slip from that artisanal, high quality, beautiful, and delicious product. And that's what's helped us gain this celebrity clientele list. It's not super long, but hey, we have it. And they reach out to us, and their people reach out to us, and they don't ask for free cookies. They buy them and they use them for their parties. And I think definitely Black celebrities, we definitely are a thing with with a lot of the Black celebrities. So I love that. And I just want to mention that because being a Black owned business, Black owned businesses support other Black owned businesses, whether you're a celebrity or you're, a shop owner down the street. We do. And I'm proud of that. And I'm proud to support other Black owned businesses as well. And I mentioned that because I just said that these celebrities aren't reaching out asking for free cookies. They're supporting us and purchasing our cookies. And then they know that if a little shout out is going to drum up more business for us, then they'll do that. So I just wanted to point that out.
So I have a question about that. So you've got a lot of different networks that you work to, whether it's via social media or advertising or being on podcasts, even bigger podcasts than ours. And I'm wondering, are you strategic about that in terms of, hey, it's late November, we're going into what's clearly going to be a real crunch, busy time. Do you kind of lay low and not do a lot of social media and marketing now because you don't want to get swamped? Do you hold that off till Jan?
I'm trying to sell cookies, Kat.
Kat, this is Q4.
Yeah.
This is the state championships.
This is like, do you slow down when we're busy? No. You sign up for new markets.
Right.
True.
You want something done, you ask a busy lady, right?
Well, there you go. I guess that's the answer.
No, I've learned that having a strong marketing team is a foundation for a business. And I couldn't afford a strong marketing team, but I made it happen. And because of that, I can now afford a strong marketing team. That strong marketing team is driving our sales. So definitely we are full throttle, fourth quarter, playoff state championship. So turn up the volume.
All right. So you've always been really good at marketing. I think it's interesting that you said that you couldn't afford a marketing team, but so you invested in a marketing team anyway, and then you could afford a marketing team. So it's interesting that I know you run really lean, but you also are not shy about investing in what you need to do to move forward. And one of the things that you've invested in that I know affects your sales at the farmers markets and then is just off the charts when it comes to your online and retail and things is your packaging and branding. So what's new there? What are you doing there?
So what's new there is it's holiday season, and I know that people love beautiful packaging. I'm one of those people. So we have created some holiday packaging in our store. We've always had our gift tins, and we've changed the banner that goes around it to reflect the holiday season. So it's a beautifully packaged gift. Our cookies, you can purchase a tin for an additional fee, and we can put your cookies in a tin. I worked at a Pottery Barn for a few years to make extra money, and I learned merchandising there and the value of merchandising. So we are going to merchandise in the store and have a beautiful display of all of our different holiday tins. We also will have some new holiday offerings that I don't want to mention just yet because we haven't launched them, but they are delicious and sweet. And we will have those in beautifully packaged gift tins as well. I did learn last holiday season that people are looking for grab and go gifts. They want something. Yes, they come in to get cookies, but they see a beautifully wrapped package displayed on a table amongst 50 other beautifully wrapped packages. And they say, oh, that looks beautiful. This would be great for my mailman. And so I did learn that from you. I remember you saying at holiday season, you need to upgrade your packaging at your market booth because people want grab and go. And that's absolutely true.
So you bring those tins to the farmers markets as well?
I would
during
like
the holidays.
I haven't gotten those approved from the market managers yet, but I would love to bring those tins.
Consider that approved. At least at the Little Italy Mercado. Bring it on.
Yes, we do have grab and go beautifully wrapped tins for holiday season.
No, we love that at the markets, and we really encourage all of our vendors to kind of ramp it up, make it a little bit pretty, make it easy to grab and take as a hostess gift
and increase the price a little bit too.
Yeah, and up your price. I mean,
make that margin.
People at the holidays, we don't want to sound exploitative or anything, but at holiday times, money ceases to have the same trade-off value. It's like being on vacation. It's like, this isn't real money. This is holiday money. And so they'll spend a little bit more. You can actually increase your price a little bit. Nobody's going to notice. Yes. They're all disoriented. They don't know what's happening.
I would encourage other vendors to make sure that they know their cost of that package and the labor to put it together and factor that in. Don't just make up a number. You need to look at those and factor that in, which I do.
Critically important.
And that's a really good point too about like putting together gift baskets or holiday things. It's not just the actual tin. It's how long does it take to pack this? Mm-hmm. And, if it adds 2 minutes to your production time, that's going to add up real quick if you're paying somebody to do that for you.
Yeah, I mean, putting that band around that tin, somebody's got to do that.
Yeah.
You got to spend the time to do it. Such smart advice. As always, we always get smart advice from you, Maya.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Thank you.
That's why you're our fourth member of the band.
That's what makes you our unofficial fourth podcast host. That's right.
Well, thank you so much I know that we called you in Q4. This is like your halftime inspirational talk that you're giving us. So
this is your pep talk in the locker room.
Yeah, locker room talk. Appreciate you taking the time to speak with us, and because you're so busy, we don't get to see you at the market as much as we'd like to. So thanks so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
We will talk again soon.
We will.
Thanks for listening to Tent Talk today. And big thanks to Loco Canopies for helping farmers market vendors, like Maya's Cookies, and farmers market operators attract all the right kinds of attention with custom canopies, freestanding flags, and branded table covers. And for supporting Tent Talk, the farmers market podcast. To order your tents and accessories, click the Loco Canopies logo on the resource page at farmersmarketpros.com.
Farmers markets are all about connection, and all of us, operators, farmers, and vendors, keep learning. Join us and your fellow market participants at the 6th Annual Intense the Farmers Market Conference in San Diego, California on March 7th, 8th, and 9th, 2022 to grow your market and your community. Connect with people just like you from various parts of the country and share what's happening in your area in the terrific conversations over in our private Facebook group, the Farmers Market Pros Community. If you're actively involved in a farmers market, please find us there, answer the 3 qualifying questions, and join the group. You can also message us on Instagram at Farmers Market Pros or email us at connect@farmersmarketpros.com. If you're just getting started in farmers markets, check out our Vendor 101 online course at farmersmarketpros.com. Thanks for listening to Tent Talk. Please leave us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you access your podcast, and tell us and others how you're enjoying Tent Talk. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss the next episode. Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast, is proudly produced by Farmers Market Pros. where passion meets profit. Today's episode was recorded and edited by Justine Marzoni-Mead. Original music by David Mead. Thank you so much for listening today, and we'll have another great episode next week. Tune in.